This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Welcome to The Drive and welcome to Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Absolutely. It is official.
It is official.
4 o'clock exactly on the nose.
All the stuff, you'll start to see all kinds of news start to happening now. All the contracts that have been agreed to before will now become official, or at least they can be announced by the teams.
Doesn't mean it's a done deal, but as soon as it is now able to be. And the June 1st cut guys, Aaron Rodgers, are now no longer Jets, Rams, et cetera. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly.
All these guys are going to start being released here as well. So all kinds of news going to be happening here over the course of the show. And I want to clear something up.
Let's go.
Because apparently there's some people on the message board who think that I am somehow backtracking or double talking on Aaron Rodgers. If I had my choice for the Steelers quarterback in 2025, given how the roster is constructed, I would pick Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I would not pick Aaron Rodgers.
Gotcha.
Here's what's changed. All the other stuff around, moving parts around this. You didn't get Justin Fields back.
No, right.
I'm looking.
You didn't trade for Matthew Stafford, or
you didn't trade for Stafford. Right. You didn't sign any
Darnold or any
Darnold. Those guys are all gone.
Yep. And I'm frankly not brokenhearted about it. Stafford was never on the table.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford was a pie in the sky kind of thing. But given my choice, based on what the Steelers have at wide receiver, Russell Wilson would be my choice.
Can understand that.
And here's why. And I sent you this earlier today. If you look at the passing charts from last season, and so, there it goes. So Aaron Rodgers on passes down the field, 20 yards or more down the field. On passes outside the numbers. Was not good.
Not at all. It's Russ's specialty, too.
Yeah. In fact, if you look at it, he was far worse. He was 3 for 11 for 76 yards throwing outside left down the field. He was 10 of 33 outside right. What have the Steelers added this offseason?
Right. The deep threats outside the number guys. Right.
That's what you got.
Right. And that's definitely Wilson's specialty.
Yeah. Now, he was 12 of 19 deep middle. And you might say, well, Russell Wilson didn't even attempt those passes. Yeah, he did. And he was he didn't have as many of them. He was 5 of 10.
He didn't start as many games either.
Right. He didn't start as many games. But he was 5 for 10 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception down the deep middle of the field. He was 13 of 25 for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns with an interception down the outside the right hash, or left hash, I should say. And he was 9 of 15 outside the right hash for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is a better deep passer, and you added DK Metcalf.
He's a better deep passer than just about everyone in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his specialty outside the numbers. That is absolutely his wheelhouse. No question about it. I prefer Rodgers. I don't feel super strong about it, to be very honest with you. I mean, I do think the familiarity thing of Wilson, I think he's much less of a distraction. I think he'd be a better mentor for somebody you draft this year or next. So all those things are valuable to me. I just think Rodgers is still a better player. Now, I do think Wilson probably had a better year, all in all. So I did some work, too. You did send me that stuff, and I sent you some stuff back. And in the end, Rodgers was basically the least accurate quarterback in the league, not named Richardson or Cooper Rush. Bad.
Some of that was because he was getting rid of the ball so he wouldn't get hit.
Those are the two big complaints for me, is there's a little bit of late bend. Ball has to come out now. But there's also a turning point in Rodgers' season last year. And we didn't go through this, but I was kind of looking at it since we were texting earlier. His first 10 games are really bad. I mean, really bad. Now, if I was his lawyer and, saying, well, let's explain some things. Well, he didn't have Devontae Adams, but he did have Garrett Wilson, who's a really good player. But having both of them.
He also had all the receivers that he had to have.
Oh, which was.
All his dudes.
They're all bad.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's part of the off-the-field nonsense. And he also was coming back from a massive injury. Those last 7 games were good. Well, he was an above-average starter, but nobody's paying attention because the Jet season was shot. I don't know what version you get. The reason I would pick Rodgers is if it hits and he takes this thing unbelievably seriously, it could hit big. Because his peaks were high, and that wasn't that long ago. But he's older, too.
He's older.
Right.
Now, he is much better from the 10 and in.
Yes. And I do think he's a better between-the-numbers passer for sure. That's just not – Wilson – the numbers are a little misleading with Wilson because there's passes to be had there that he doesn't attempt or he doesn't see or whatever. But Rodgers is not the gunslinger he was. But on his best day, this was years ago, and neither one of them's best days.
On his best day, he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever live.
Sure, and Wilson's best days are unbelievable too. Both these guys are right there with Mahomes of best touchdown-interception ratios ever. Like, both are really good at valuing the football. And I think that you still have that with either player, which is going to be a necessity for this team.
Yeah. Adam Schefter now reporting that Russell Wilson is scheduled to fly tonight to Cleveland to visit with the Browns on Thursday, and he's scheduled to fly to New York Thursday night to visit on Friday with the Giants.
Okay. Sure implies that Rodgers is a leader in the clubhouse here then, but who knows?
Yeah.
Or neither.
Or
I don't.
You're Russell Wilson and you're going, I'm going to force their hand.
Sure.
We got to do something here. I can't sit around, nor can the Steelers sit around and wait for whatever mountaintop Aaron Rodgers finds himself on now at the Acropolis, bowing, doing whatever he's doing to make a decision. You got to make a decision.
And then he might retire in the end or whatever. Right. Yeah, to me,
if I'm Russell Wilson, I got to move on. If you're not going to get something done here with this guy, either sign me or I've got other options too.
Right. And I think the Steelers have to move on in the next 24 hours or so.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
If that's the hang-up is I got to go into a dark cave for a week and think it over, then stay in your
Sorry
cave.
for your luck.
Right. But if it's just
you're not 32.
We were waiting to get
you're
released,
not 32-year-old Aaron Rodgers anymore.
No. And
you need to realize that.
Right. You could go to Minnesota and be a backup, or go to the Tennessee Titans who had the first pick in the draft, or the Browns. Those are that's what's
your
left
choices.
for you. Right.
That's your choice.
It's not the Chiefs want you, or right.
And I am not.
If there's nonsense going on, that's a tiebreaker
already.
Right.
Already.
See, I just don't believe anything I've read.
He hasn't even signed yet, and he's already causing nonsense. I don't want to deal with it.
Do we know that though? People I don't trust are like, well, he wants too much money, and now he wants.
Nobody knows anything about that.
I don't believe any of that stuff.
Today, Mike Florio, who was the one who put the 2 years, $90 million thread out there last week, on the other station in town, goes on there and says, "Yeah, it's 2 years, $90 million." Today, he goes on the same station and says, "Yeah, I'm hearing it's not 2 years, $90 million." Right. Which is it, Mike? Make up your mind. If you're going to float a rumor out there, and you're just going to make it up off the top of your head, then just say you're making it up off the top of your head.
Right.
This guy has no bargaining power.
Right. And $45 million is too much for me.
It's absolutely. It was too much when it was first floated. I said it was ridiculous then, and I'm saying it's ridiculous now. He's not a $45 million a year quarterback.
No, he's not. And
he's not a $40 million a year quarterback.
No.
He's not 30. If you were going to spend $35 million a year on a quarterback, you'd have just signed Sam Darnold.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the hang-up is, or if there is a hang-up. Again, the league year is 9 minutes old.
At the same, I'm not willing. The negotiating period has been going on here. There have been talks.
Right.
Now, unless you know or you feel pretty good about him deciding on you, then okay. If that's the case, then move forward. But I'm not going to allow him to hold me hostage on this if I'm the Steelers.
No, if it goes much longer, you have to say, I'm done. I'm 100% on board with that.
We'll just go back to Russell Wilson.
I'm just not
I think
sure they're there
might
yet.
be the better choice.
I see that. And certainly with those two outside the number deep threats, that matches very well with Wilson.
Unless the only way it makes sense is if you're going to trade George Pickens, and you know that, and you're going to do something like sign Cooper Kupp.
Right.
Who would fit
Which is another thing that could happen any minute
fit
now.
much more with Rodgers' style. Again, 10 yards and in, and getting rid of the ball in less than 2.5 seconds. He was outstanding last year.
And he's a big-time adult in the room and all that kind of stuff, too. Cup's very attractive to me. Like, for example, 1 minute ago, Javon Hargrave became officially a Viking. So this next half hour, Cup,
stuff's
Rodgers, et cetera, might happen, right? But if it is true that, hey, I got to go to a cave and do ayahuasca or whatever, then I'm done.
I'm out.
But I think he's the better football player of the two today.
Yeah. That's a 2-year, $30 million deal.
For Hargrave.
$19 million guaranteed for.
Yeah, sounds about right.
32-year-old coming off of a torn pectoral muscle.
Right. I don't know. The money that's getting thrown around in free agency in general is crazy.
I wouldn't have been in on that.
It's pricey. I'm not like
$10 million, $12 million, okay. But, yeah, not that high.
I hear you. I just don't know what to make of all these contracts. The inflation in this league has been crazy this year, more than ever I can remember. So can they get out of it after a year if he's not great? Maybe. I mean, it's $19 million guaranteed. I don't know. I have not overreacted to the dollars.
It's easy to say that when you're not the one writing the check. When I'm the guy writing the check and I said $19 million.
Yeah, but the league's sending me these monster checks.
I understand that.
DraftKings.
$19 million is still $19 million.
I hear you.
That's how you get yourself in the cap
starting defensive tackle.
Yeah. Steelers have made another move, potentially. They've agreed to terms with cornerback Brandon Eccles of the New York Jets. He is a cornerback, 5'10", 180 pounds, basically. Has played inside, has played outside. Ran a 4.36 at the combine.
He's a good athlete. Yeah.
He can fly, and 42.5-inch vertical.
Okay. I didn't know the vertical. I remember his 40 being really good.
So that 5'10" size.
What's he, 27-ish?
Yeah,
after his first contract.
Yeah.
Went to Kentucky.
Plays bigger than he is because of that vertical. But definitely gives you a slot capability there.
Yeah. I don't think he's slot only, though, right?
No, he's not. He's played inside and he's played outside. In fact, he started his rookie year, started 14 games for the Jets.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that he was a starter that early. And obviously they went past him with Reed and Sauce and those guys, too. So he was under the radar guy for me. I didn't know a ton about him or have him really on the radar of a target. But
5 career interceptions, so he takes the ball away and again, gives you another slot option. Also, has been a contributor on special teams for them. So, again, not the splashy.
No. These are useful players.
Yeah,
right.
But a guy who's going to come in and compete for a starting job, and
I think he's an upgrade over what they played with in the slot last year.
Yeah,
I mean, no question. And he can play outside for you if Trice or who knows what's going on.
Something happens there. You've got a guy who's capable of stepping outside, which Beanie Bishop is not.
Right. So no, I don't mind that pickup at all. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Glue guy,
Yeah.
And it lessens your draft day needs too.
Yeah. Oh, the Browns signed Malik Collins to a 2-year, $20 million deal. $13 million.
He's another one that's been bounced around the league like crazy too.
And it's official. Cooper Kupp released.
Okay. And then Evan Ingram just signed with the Broncos on a 2-year deal too.
Okay.
They were heavily in the tight end market, linked to like the 2 first-round guys a bunch. That's very much a Sean Payton type of move.
Yeah.
There's a couple things happening here, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Malik Collins doesn't change my life at all.
No, not at all.
He's bounced around the league quite a bit, and he's kind of just a guy.
Yeah. But at some point, I got to tell Aaron Rodgers, this is our deadline.
Yeah,
this needs to happen. I'm not interested in seeing the Steelers line up in 2025 with a very good roster and Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback.
Oh, no. I mean, those things have to be – you can't be held captive by him. I mean, again, the MVP version, if you're the Packers back in the day doing the Favre stuff and all the nonsense that happens, that's different. Now it's like, okay, you've been released. I need an answer.
Yeah.
Pretty much end of story.
Got to have an answer, and
maybe by midnight tonight or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And if you're out on us, we're okay.
Yeah, I got to know that, right?
We got to move on
because there's not a ton of other options. I mean, I got no problem with Russ, but other than that, then it gets
now you're looking at like Mac Jones.
Yeah, it gets real dry real quick.
Yeah,
Rudolph, or I mean, who knows?
Yeah, so that's just the way it has to be, and if he doesn't like it, well, it wasn't probably meant to be to begin with.
No, right. But the person, I mean, he's not the easiest personality in the world, that's for sure.
He's the 40-year-old, and please excuse my metaphor here, but the 40-year-old divorcee who used to be hot. I haven't been on the dating scene in years.
Yeah.
But the 40-year-old divorcee who at one point was hot, and still attractive.
But I'm still 51, and she looks all right to me.
Yeah, she's still attractive, and this could be a man or woman.
Of course,
but they value themselves higher than what they are.
Well, there's probably that too.
Yeah.
I mean, and he has so much money in the bank too. If he never played football again, I think he'll be just fine. And other interests and
absolutely
earning power and all those things too.
I mean, again, there's somebody out there who's going to fall in love with that 40-year-old divorcee, male or female, and be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would be me.
I would certainly keep up talks.
There's a brand of crazy there that I'm not willing to deal with.
It's the crazy hot scale, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no question. To your point, what I definitely agree with, though, is an answer needs to happen.
Has to
soon.
Yeah.
We're not waiting around for a week or another 2 days.
I do wonder, again, with Wilson pushing those buttons and scheduling meetings with other teams, does that
It's one of two things.
That?
It's either
hey,
I'm not waiting for you,
yeah.
or he's been told you're the runner-up.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those things happened,
Yeah.
He either got sick of waiting or he's been told he's not going to be a Steeler.
Yeah. So we'll see. But
I wonder what Labs has to think about it.
Yeah, we'll find out that next when we come back. He is Matt Williamson.
Spin to it, I'm sure.
I'm Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be joined by the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola, right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we're joined on the Justin Miller hotline by the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola. Bob, before we get started here, I just wanted to give you a chance here to talk a little bit about our good friend Craig Wolfley. You did a nice job with his obit on Steelers.com, and just your memories of Wolf. I know you guys had a long friendship over the years that spanned both his playing days and his broadcasting days.
Yeah, for a lot of years, he was part of a show that was called Countdown to Kickoff. It was, all through the season, and it was on Wednesdays on the South Side. We did it at Chupka's too for years. We had a lot of laughs. I mean, it was Mike Pursuta was part of that. And, a lot of times those are drudgery, but, Wolf always made them, it was fun. Even if you didn't really feel like being there, you didn't feel like, talking about that team or, whatever the situation might have been, you get there, Wolf was there, and, before you knew it, his infectious just way about him, got you into, and then the 2 hours would fly by. I mean, it was, and let me say this too, there were a time or two after that show ended at 9:00, because there wasn't reserved parking for us out on Carson Street for those. So, walking back to your car, 9:00, the show would end. By the time you ended up leaving, there was 9:15 or whatever. Walking back to the side streets where you often parked, I was always a whole lot more confident when I was walking into the Wolf, I'll tell you that. And there was never any, it was never a big deal or anything. I mean, he was just there, and you just knew that if you needed anything, he was, he was there for you. So, it's incredibly sad. You mentioned the story that I wrote. Those are harder when you really know and like the person.
Yeah.
And personally, I mean, not, for example, you write something about Franco Harris and great guy, great human being, all of that stuff, but I didn't know him. And so it wasn't as hard. as this one was.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Wolf was one of the boys. I miss him already. It's really going to be hard at training camp, starting at training camp. But like I said, it's just a kind and gentle human being, good man. The world is a lesser place without him.
Labs, I hosted a Wednesday show for a handful of years with Wolf, and let me just say the ribs at the Southside Clubhouse didn't stand a chance.
No, I mean, and I'll tell you something else. When we did those shows, we would all kick in for a tip for the servers, the kitchen people, because they would always make us something. A lot of times it wasn't, order off the menu, and they would just bring it out. And and sometimes people would fill in, for someone who was unable to make it or sick or, whatever. And Wolf was not shy about, getting you to kick in. I mean, there was no, and he wouldn't let you try and like slide by with half of what he was asking you for either. So, I mean, so he was always thinking of the, the other people, the little man, the working people, as he called himself. So again, I had a lot of respect. I miss him already.
Yeah, just a good man and good human, and
yes, good human being.
Yeah, I can. You just made me think of the first time I did a radio show with Wolf, and we were at a training camp. This is over a decade ago. And we were at an establishment that no longer exists. There's now the Sheets is now where in Latrobe is now on Route 30 is where this place used to be, and they had me on the schedule. Wolf was to be the host, and I was supposed to be the guest. And he's like, I went as soon as I sat down. I'm like, Wolf, this doesn't make much sense for you to fire questions off at me.
Yeah.
Let's. He says, are you comfortable hosting? I said, yeah, I'll host. That's no problem. And he said, okay. So he starts ordering food. He says, he tells the waitress, I'm on a diet. So no French fries. Just bring me out 3 of your, it was like 3 chicken rolls or whatever.
Something huge.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then she forgot, she brought the fries out. So we had this, he ate all 3 of them, and we had this massive pile of French fries sitting in front of us. And I'm like, yeah, that's a diet.
I mean, he was on a diet with our Wednesday show a few times and would take the cheesecake to go as opposed to eating it in the last segment, which I'm sure never made it home at any of those red lights.
No,
yeah, right.
Yeah. The appetite was not fake at all. I remember telling him at Tunch's funeral, and Wolf was one of the people there with Tunch's kids and everything, and his wife, and I walked up to Wolf. I said, hey, Wolf, who is going to yell at you now about your diet? Because that's what all Tunch used to do with him, like just needle him.
Keep him in line,
just needle him about his weight, just the camaraderie, the Abbott and Costello like act that those two had. It wasn't an act. That's what that's who they were.
Tackle guard.
The world's it's not the same place now without both.
One last thing about him.
Yeah.
For people who only knew Wolf as a radio guy, a guy who made up words and and phrases and all that stuff as he went along. I'm here to tell you, he could write.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about writing, and he would. I would see him sometimes at the media room. On the south side, or sometimes during camp, under a tree or something, or wherever under the tent. A lot of times where they would have the in the locker room would be done, and he'd be sitting there maybe after it was over, and he'd have a notebook, one of those spiral notebooks, and a pen, and he's writing it out longhand, and it was good. I mean, he wrote things for me for Steelers Digest, and it was good. There wasn't a lot of, his composition, the way he framed ideas, the flow of it. He always came to a conclusion at the end. I mean, it was nicely done, professionally done, and that's so. Anybody who thought he was just like a jester in the media, no, there was a whole lot more to me than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing gears here, Bob. Steelers have reportedly made some moves here. We expect them to be announced here at any time. The big one being the signing of DK Metcalf, or I should say the trade for DK Metcalf. You like that move? Is that something you're in favor of?
Well, let me say this first. Happy New Year, fellas.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm glad you didn't try and call me at 4 because, I had the noisemakers out and
kissing the wife, doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And one other thing, too. I am no longer the doctor of doom because I don't know if you guys have been dealing at all with Steelers fans as I do with Asked and Answered. But the dooming, before we even get into DK Metcalf, I mean, to me, I'm not going to bury the lead here. The big news is the quarterback thing and how awful it is, and just right off the season, all of the different takes on it and reasons for it, and people to blame for it, and then all of the bizarre suggestions about where the Steelers should go, now that they're in the situation that they are in, and all of the weird combinations, and bring this guy back and sign this guy and do this or trade for this one. And I mean, it's just so I've gotten a lot of if they do this, I'm not.
I think we lost Labs there.
Yeah, it was fading.
Well, Justin, try to call him back here and see if he answers. Sometimes he doesn't because when he gets cut off like that, he just tends to
go his own
stay
way.
cut off. Yeah, but I don't know what was going on with the phone line there. That was a landline.
System.
To his point, I get a tweet 1 minute ago. Omar and Tomlin must go. Worst GM coach combo in the NFL. Season is already over.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine looking at this team or any team, the worst organization in any sports in that light?
No.
And this, we're 2 minutes into 20 minutes into the league year and the season's over already. Like, okay, I guess we shouldn't bother. Know what? We're all wasting our time here.
Yeah.
To Lab's point, I mean, dealing with some of these people is insane lately. Looks like we're back.
All right. We got Labs back. All right, let's try this again, Bob. You were breaking up like crazy there. I don't know what was going on there. We could kind of hear what you were saying, but it was in and out.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
there you are. That sounds better.
Your listeners are probably better off. But the question of DK Metcalf. I mean, he's what I believe that the Steelers needed at the position, wide receiver, was a weapon. None of this. I've had requests or demands for slot receiver. Now, to me, there's a difference between a receiver who plays in the slot or does some work from the slot and what is meant by a slot receiver. Antoine Randall, those kind of guys work the underneath routes, not really down the field kind of people. You need 6 yards on third down. They run a 7-yard route and make the catch. Not that kind of player. I think what they needed at that position was a weapon, the whole package. Mm-hmm. A home run hitter, whatever analogy you want to make, and that's DK Metcalf. So let me say this too: I'm way too old to talk about the money that these players are making now because it's just totally absurd to me. But that's what it is. I mean, the cap keeps going up, so the salaries keep going up, and $30 million a year for a wide receiver. That's what it is now. So again, I'm not going to comment on whether it was a good deal or a bad deal. They paid him too much or whatever. Okay, I'm just saying that he's the kind of player that I think that the Steelers needed if they were going to add a receiver this offseason. Okay, now when you do it in a trade like this, you get him without having to spend one of your premium draft picks on one.
Right.
And that's where I believe, we've argued about this or discussed it or whatever verb you want. I'm interested in defensive linemen, and I think they got to do for the defensive line what they have done recently with the offensive line, and they got to commit significant capital to top of the depth chart players at that position. And I don't know that one is enough. So you got to have a replacement for Cam. And what I'm looking for, I don't want a nose tackle like Casey Hampton. That's another suggestion I constantly get. A nose tackle like Casey Hampton.
Yeah.
Casey Hampton came off the field on third downs. So
right.
I need more from an interior defensive lineman than what Casey Hampton was asked to provide.
Times have changed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunately, in today's NFL, Casey Hampton goes in the third round.
Yeah. And would be just as good at what he does, but would only be out there for 25 snaps.
I'm looking for Stephon Tuitt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of guy. Okay. So getting DK Metcalf when you did, I think is a good, a good way of addressing what I thought was an off-season need. Now, the second-round pick, do you get it back by another trade? I don't know. I'll leave that up to Omar and Mike Tomlin and Art Rooney II. Because only they know what they can get or what the situation is with Pickens or, any of those kinds of things. But I would say I'm a yay instead of a nay on the DK Metcalf thing. And just one other thing to all the media people who think they know everything about this. Apparently, you can get a top flight wide receiver before you get the quarterback.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they will have a quarterback, contrary to popular belief.
Well, and here's another thing. As Dan Rooney always said, whenever the question is why, the answer is money. And that answers that one, too.
The same reason Myles Garrett is still a Cleveland Brown.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And why would DK Metcalf sign with the Steelers? Well, there you have it. So
a lot of reasons.
Yep. I like the move.
Labs, is there any now former Steelers that you didn't see coming? Najee, Moore, Daniels, Roberts. I didn't see a whole lot of surprises that walked out the door. I think they prepared for it.
No, I mean, and again, the numbers for Dan Moore are, if what I saw was accurate, I mean those are pretty big numbers, and that just shows you what at his position there aren't a lot of them, and teams are looking for them and needing them, and so again, what Steelers fans might have thought was a weakness. I've heard this saying too: one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Moore Jr., God bless him.
Good for him.
Right. That shows you the value of a lot of playing experience at that position. I mean, he started a lot of games in the NFL at left tackle, and teams, I'm sure, looked at, since it was NFL games, the video is just call it up on your computer, so he must have done enough right to draw that kind of
interest. They don't hand out $82 million in contracts for guys who stink, which is what all I've heard about Dan Moore. These NFL teams, they may be playing with some funny money right now, but they don't like to give it away.
Tackles don't grow on trees.
No, they do not.
Looks like a couple of cornerbacks coming to the Steelers, Bob. Darius Slay and Brandon Eccles, according to reports out there. So they've kind of addressed outside cornerback, and Eccles is a slot type guy. He can play inside or out, and that kind of takes the cornerback need off the board.
I would
in the
think
draft.
2 probably wraps it up. Yeah, because they're very different.
I mean, and again though, I don't think you go into the draft with the same feeling about cornerback that you would have had did you not make those signings.
Right.
But if that's one of those positions where if you think if there's a what they call now avatar cornerback available on Thursday or Friday, that is just one of those I can't believe he's still there for real. I wouldn't be opposed to that either, because that's another one of those positions. That's like offensive lineman to a large degree. You never have enough because there are injuries, and teams will, you're competing against Burrow and Lamar and Josh Allen and Mahomes. They're all in the AFC. Justin Herbert. I mean, you can't think that you have enough ability to cover. And if you can line up and play, matchup coverage, tight zone, man-to-man, those kind of things, that really sets you up to be able to do some things with pressure that can create takeaways. So, again, yes, Slay and Eccles, nice acquisitions. And if you got to go to training camp with just those 2 additions at corner, okay. That's okay. But if something else drops in your lap, I wouldn't pass.
Well, you never turn a good player away, regardless of position.
And Slay's only on a 1-year deal. It sounds.
Well, there are some positions that I wouldn't draft. I'm not picking a tight end like that Tyler Warren from Penn State. I don't believe it would happen. If he's available 21st, I'm not picking him. I'm not picking a tight end.
You've never advocated for taking a tight end in the first round.
I like the Heath Miller pick. I know, I'm serious.
Yeah.
But I'm not, based on, you have Freiermuth, you have Darnell Washington, and you have Parham, who is a third guy. I'm not adding a tight end at this point. You also got DK Metcalf. I'm not picking a tight end first. So and I don't know that I'd pick a running back first.
Quarterback aside, Labs, I mean, it seems like they'll probably draft a running back, and they signed one yesterday. We didn't mention Gainwell. And probably concentrate on the D-line. I mean, I would think that, the short of it is the draft is probably going to be attacking those 2 positions.
Yeah, and as it should.
Yeah, that works out well.
And then, once you get to Saturday, I don't know, maybe you're looking at offensive linemen too, because that's another one of those you don't have enough.
When in doubt, grab another.
Right, and or maybe a free agent or 2, because it's wild that free agency, as I look at the clock, is officially 43 minutes old, and we're talking about it as almost as it's over, as if it's over.
Well, that's the way it's been the last 2 days. I tweeted that out Tuesday at 12:30. I'm like, free agency is just over 24 hours old, and people are acting like there's nobody else out there that could possibly play in the game. There are over 600 players who played in the league last year who were still free agents, and yet free agency was done.
Yep. And you call me the Doctor of Doom. I'm just saying. I think I'm going to abdicate my crown.
There's a lot of doomsday folks out there listening, I have a feeling, right?
Yeah. So, Yeah. Anyways, Bob, we'll let you go. Let you get back to your festivities. I'm sure you have some champagne to drink or something along those lines. Maybe a cocktail as you watch the news ticker go by here and everything becomes official. But we appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll see you at the Wolfley stuff that's upcoming here.
Well attended.
Yeah, I would assume so. But
Yes.
yeah, going to miss him a lot, and I know you will as well. But our guest has been Bob Labriola, editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, the NFL came out with his compensatory picks for this year.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about compensatory picks over the last couple weeks here. We've been talking about next year's compensatory
Which
picks.
the Steelers are just dripping with them, even after these moves. I mean, it's
Slay doesn't count against that. Eccles would.
But
it probably wasn't a huge deal.
I don't think it subtracts much because
At
in the
the
meantime,
very-
you lost Najee and Jackson and Landon Roberts.
You're
and
guaranteed, even if those 6-rounders go away, like you sign some guys to replace those guys.
Because you are going to keep adding things to your roster. Yeah.
But the 3rd and 4th ones aren't going anywhere.
No, those are the big ticket stuff.
Those are the ones you care about.
Not to mention if Wilson signs somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, he's going
to cancel
he's
out.
He's going to make double-digit millions.
Yeah, that's going to cancel a lot of that out.
So they're going to be loaded with next year's comp picks, which I know everyone doesn't quite understand. Like I got a couple questions. Jason at OTC does an amazing job, and I put out what they're projected for right now. He's on top of it. You've tuned me into it, and people are like, "Well, can you trade those?" No, but you could trade your 3rd or your 4th,
knowing that you
year,
have that,
knowing that these things are coming.
Or you trade your 4 because you know you got a 3.
Right, exactly, right.
So you got the other
stuff's on,
and
the
you've
way.
also got the 4, so you could also trade your 5, because you don't want to get too far back. But
this year's became official.
Yeah,
like 365 days from now, the Steelers are going to be awarded a 3rd, a 4th, and whatever else.
Here's what it means. So the compensatory picks in the 3rd round this year that were awarded are picks 97 through 102.
It's always the end of the round.
Yeah, it's the end of the 3rd round. So you're looking at the Steelers potentially getting picked 99 for Dan Moore.
Yeah, right in that neighborhood, right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Top 100
a top
pick.
100 pick? Yeah,
right.
I'll take
for
that.
For a guy you didn't plan on resigning?
Yeah,
right.
give me 3, 4, the 4th round compensatory picks this year are in the 130s.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, you could come out of this with, you're going to have right now, as things stand next year, 6 picks in the top 130.
Yeah,
somewhere
how about that?
In that range.
How about that? Yeah, that's where they're sitting right now. If they don't make any other moves or trade Pickens for a future 2nd or whatever. I mean, like
whatever you do,
you're sitting pretty nice. Yeah,
yeah, it's not a bad place to be.
And again, that could bundle up to go get a quarterback. That could be whatever you want.
I'm one of these mock drafts. We do a mock draft. But boy, I'd like to have some extra picks here in some of these rounds. And it's like, now you're going to have them.
I mean, yes, and without having to trade down and lose your picks and all that stuff too. So,
or you have the ability now to package your 2 third-round picks to move up and get an extra 2 if you want. Something along those lines.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they offer up next year's 3rd or 4th, the Steeler picks, to get a day 2 pick this year or whatever. I mean, they just have a lot of cards in their hand.
Yeah.
And to clear it up, too, because the ones that were just awarded for 2025 draft, they can trade those.
Yeah.
These teams.
Now they officially own them.
Right.
But it's not until this time next year that the Steelers will officially own those 2025
I know it gets
picks,
confusing.
or 2026 picks, I should say.
Yeah, they'll be in the 26 draft.
Which is also when Pittsburgh hosts the NFL draft.
So maybe they'll be busy those couple days.
We might be a little busy.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll be wheeling and dealing.
I think the Ravens were the ones that did the best with this year, right?
I think they got 3.
They got 3, yeah. But
they need them.
They need him, yeah. They signed DeAndre Hopkins, which, fine, he was pretty rough this year.
Doesn't move the needle.
No. I think they just want something different than the 2 guys they had, which is kind of why they went after Deontay. Yeah, I mean, that's not a big deal to me.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll see what else continues to happen here around the league. Nothing has been official yet. The Steelers haven't officially announced even the trade for DK Metcalf yet.
Oh, okay.
Hasn't been announced yet. So we'll see what happens here. But everybody by 4:00 today, so a little under an hour ago, had to be cap compliant.
Like we were talking about the Chiefs 24 hours ago. They massively restructured Mahomes and Chris Jones again. They're
Yeah.
just banking, going mortgaging that stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
everybody's under.
let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network, and we will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley here with the Matt Williamson. And Matt, now that we know the picks,
Yeah.
and we have DK Metcalf on the roster, I thought it would be a good time to do a little mock draft based on what the Steelers have done thus far, or reportedly done thus far.
And I think it's safe to say Eccles, Harrison, Slay.
Those guys are Steelers.
Let's count them as Steelers. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
And some quarterback.
right. As things stand now,
Yeah.
we have picks 21, 83, 122, 157, so that one moved up.
Yeah. Okay.
186, which is something they got back from Seattle. They swapped 6th and 7th round picks, and 231.
Okay. Omar always does that 7-6 swap. It's
Yeah.
kind of sneaky. Like, we got a deal, but let's do this.
We're going to give you the premium pick. We'll swap spots later in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, so the first 20 picks are in. We're on Pro Football Focus here.
Okay.
Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, Tedero McMillan, Will Campbell, Tyler Warren, Mason Graham, Jihad Campbell, Armand Membo, Jade Barron, Malachi Starks, Donovan Ezereku, Mike Green, Michael Williams, Emeka Egba, Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, Josh Simmons, and Shamar Stewart all off the board.
Grant's a name I didn't want to hear.
Yeah. We do have 5 trade offers.
Okay.
Some of the players still available: James Pierce, Luther Burden, Kelvin Banks, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Walter Nolan, Matthew Golden, Amarian Hampton. Obviously, the quarterback is still out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sanders. We have.
I'm not interested in doing the Sanders thing.
I'm not really either. We have 5 trade offers.
Okay.
I would love to get a 2nd-round pick back.
I would love to, too, even if it means thrown in the 4th or whatever. Right.
So the Rams are on the phone. Well,
There was like 5 names you mentioned that I would be very comfortable with.
The Rams are on the phone. They have pick 26, but they don't have a 2nd-round pick, so we can't deal with them.
Yeah, I guess not.
The Ravens are on the phone. Well, we don't deal with the Ravens.
No.
The Lions are the next one up. They have pick 28 and 60, and 28 and 60 for 21. I'm going to offer it and see if it.
I would take that today.
They said no.
You want to spruce it up with a future pick?
I'm going to say
No. Throw in like next year's 4th.
I'll offer that. See what they say.
We know we got the comp picks coming in.
That they accepted.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the beauty of the comp picks.
Right.
next year.
Yeah, that's exactly the case in point.
So you picked up your you regained your 2nd-round pick. You're still in the 1st round. You only moved down 7 spots, and you got pick 60 back.
Yeah. So you have one more pick this year too.
Yeah.
Than you did a minute ago.
All right, I'm going to resume the draft here.
Yeah.
Let's see what. Okay, so they moved up to get Kelvin Banks.
Huh. I guess that makes sense. Guys like Decker are getting older, and he could play guard for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Zeitler's not there.
James Pierce went. Matthew Golden went. Burden went. Jalen Walker went. Walter Nolan went. Darius Alexander went.
Okay.
Derek Harmon's still there. Amarian Hampton's
Those
still
are the
there.
2 that I would be most interested in.
Yeah.
But now with the 2nd, I think I'd take Harmon. I mean, we've had this conversation, but there's a big gap. Hampton versus 3rd-round running back.
Yeah.
Hampton versus
2nd round.
Junkins.
Yeah.
You
If
know,
he's there,
and he
or-
might not be, and you might lose, but
Yeah.
somebody else you'll like is.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Harmon to me is maybe worthy of 21, but he's definitely worthy of 28.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Harmon it is. There we go.
Maybe he is your Tuitt that Labs mentioned. You know.
All right, we're down to 60. They still have Shedeur Sanders available. That's not bad.
We're not doing that.
Jared Ivey, Ariante Ursary, Omar Norman Lott, Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, Kyle Kennard, Benjamin Morrison, Donovan Jackson, Josiah Stewart, Travion Henderson.
I'd take Henderson over anyone mentioned so far.
Yeah, I wonder, if the trade or if the signing that they made,
The Gainwell pick.
get Gainwell signals that hey, maybe they don't want necessarily a quote unquote big back.
I kind of took it the opposite way, and it's an interesting way
They
of looking
could
at
they
it.
could want now a big back to complement what they already have.
Like now we just need the big back to complete the backfield. I like that pickup. We can talk about it later, but I don't know that you could be all small. But the fact that Henderson's still there.
Well, the idea
small is a different.
The idea that Jalen Warren is a small back.
Right.
He's 5'9" and 220 pounds. He is not small.
By historic Steeler comps, he's small because he doesn't look like Jerome.
Yeah.
But he's not a little guy. Right. Gainwell's a little on the small side. Right.
Yeah.
Is Henderson the move, or is anybody else there that's exciting you? Is there a player not in a need position you can't believe still available?
No, I would take Henderson.
Okay, well, let's do it.
All right, Travion Henderson.
Think of the explosiveness you added with Metcalf and Henderson on offense. I mean, these are big play guys.
All right, so we're up now in the third round. Top picks available: Sebastian Castro.
So what's interesting now is we've not gone through this scenario. I mean, in terms of team needs, I'd love to get a nose, and I'm sure there'll be some in these next two picks. But otherwise, I don't know that I have must-haves.
No.
I mean, as Labs mentioned, if there's a corner that shouldn't be there.
Offensive lineman.
Whoever. Developmental tackle or even a safety that shouldn't be there or another receiver. It wouldn't break my heart. I think there's a lot of directions you can go here because they're set up pretty well.
Sebastian Castro, Kevin Winston, DJ Giddens.
What's your take on Winston?
He didn't play. He only played 2 games last year.
I know.
So it's.
I'm not saying take him here. We just have not talked about him.
Coming off of an ACL.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not suggesting use this pick.
His 2023 tape was good, but he's coming off an ACL.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember if he worked out at the combine or not. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the safety stuff.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But he's a big safety.
Mm-hmm. He was in for a visit, right?
No.
Or maybe they talked to him there or something, which doesn't mean much.
Yeah. But over some of the other players possibly available, I can't take a safety in the third round.
No, I agree with you. We have not brought up Winston, and as a Penn State guy, I just thought it was somebody we should bring up and investigate a little bit.
DJ Giddens is there. Marcus Mbao, we already took a running back. Marcus Mbao, the offensive tackle from Purdue. Jonas Ivanea, the offensive lineman from Arizona. Jalen Royals, wide receiver from Utah State. Wyatt Millam, offensive, he's going to be a guard.
Probably a guard, yeah.
From West Virginia. Tate Ratledge, the guard from Georgia.
But a good one.
Savion Williams, wide receiver from TCU. Latham Ransom, the safety out of Ohio State. Jeffrey Bassa is there, the linebacker out of Oregon. Devin Neal, Charles Grant, Anthony Belton.
Okay, philosophical question. I'm not suggesting we have to do this, but if you were to take an offensive lineman here, would you take like a Grant or Belton, or would you take maybe the better prospect that's a guard with the thought of Ciamalu might not be back next year? I mean, guard's not a position you need to like groom for next year.
No.
But if you can't believe they're there, I mean, I'd rather groom a tackle.
I would rather groom a tackle as well.
And Belton might be a guard or,
Yeah.
What's the nose tackle situation?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. So your guys there, Deone Walker, no. CJ West.
I would probably take him over the O-lineman.
Aeneas Peebles, no, he's too small. Mm-hmm. Jamari Caldwell.
I like West more than Caldwell, but both would be okay.
J.J. Pegas. That's gotten hit pretty well.
Would you take West over the tackles?
For pure need right now, yes.
Well, for sure.
Yeah. I think I would.
For positional value, no. But who helps you win now? West. Let's make him. Big pick.
We'll find a developmental tackle later.
If we don't, we don't.
Yeah.
Right. That's not a must-have.
Yeah, I don't want to miss out on your premium defensive lineman.
Right.
All right, we're back up here now.
2D lineman, I love it.
122, the top players available. Will Howard.
I was thinking this might be quarterback land, too.
Mello Dotson, cornerback out of Kansas. Riley Leonard, quarterback out of Notre Dame. Baron Sorrell, edge rusher out of Texas. Jaden Blue, running back out of Texas. Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, offensive tackle out of Florida. Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson. Willie Lampkin, guard out of North Carolina. Dylan Gabriel is still there. Jack Kaiser, linebacker from Notre Dame. Damian Martinez still there. Zy Alexander still there. Chase Lunt still there, the offensive tackle out of UConn.
That's kind of appealing. I can't remember what Max said about the Florida tackle. I remember he brought him up at the combine, and I couldn't remember if he was high on him or low on him or what he thought of him. But he's not a name we've talked about a lot.
Well, he's a 3-year starter.
Mm-hmm.
2 at left tackle. This year they slid him over to a right tackle. He also played some guard for them as well.
I don't hate the position versatility.
Or no, he didn't play guard. He's played right tackle and left tackle.
Okay. Lunt's a guy that's kind of grown on me a little bit too. What were the other names that were jumping out at me? Howard. The quarterback's interesting.
Yeah.
Probably take the tackle.
I'd probably take the tackle here.
Yeah. They're just hard to find.
Don't look a gift tackle in the mouth.
Right. I mean, again,
one of those quarterbacks going to be there at 157.
If they're not, they're not.
And if they're not, they're not.
Right.
We're up at 157. Now the quarterbacks available are Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord, he who shall not be named.
Yeah, we could skip him.
Curtis Rourke, Brady Cook, Max Brosner, Graham Mertz, Seth Hennigan.
Cook's kind of growing on me, too. I like Rourke. Those are fine. None of them are sprint to the podium guys, but they're fine.
Yeah.
How about wideout? And at this point,
Kyle Williams is still there.
Yeah.
Isaac Tesla is there.
Yeah.
Nick Nash.
Those first 2 names would be appealing to me.
Yeah.
You like one better than the other?
Depends on who the quarterback is.
Yeah, but the quarterback might only be here 1 year anyway.
That's true.
You know,
and Williams is bigger than I thought.
Is he 6'1"ish?
Yeah, he's a bigger slot type.
Yeah,
that can.
I don't think he's 200,
outside.
but he's not little.
We weighed into he's 6'1", 186.
Okay,
so
either one's fine with me.
Fast, he's a good route runner.
Mm-hmm. Might not get a ton out of him in rookie year,
Let's
but
take Kyle Williams. He maybe runs down on kickoffs or something. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah,
just bring him in.
All right, we're back up now at 186. Kyle McCord's still there.
I'd be fine with that.
Tyler Shuck still there.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Emory Jones, Curtis Rourke, Bashal Tootin, Caleb Bransaw.
What about Tootin? If he didn't sign Gainwell, you could sell me on Tootin.
Yeah,
I don't need any fourth back though.
You don't need a fourth back, and he fumbles.
I know.
I can't get past his fumbling.
It's bad.
Yeah, Dante Thornton is there. If we wouldn't have gone wide receiver, that would have been interesting.
Emory Jones is the name I like too, but I don't know if he'd draft two O-linemen.
Yeah. I'm just looking here.
Rourke? How about a safety that's a special teamer?
We can get one of those at 231.
Yeah. We just don't have a lot of needs. Tight end that jumps out at you, big blocker from Georgia Tech.
Let's take Kyle McCord.
I'm fine with it, yeah.
Pocket passer.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be a lifetime number 2.
I bet he sticks in the league,
Yeah.
He could have a Rudolph-like career.
Absolutely. All right, we're about now at 231. Brady Cook and Max Brosmer are still available, the quarterbacks. Rondé Gadsden II, the tight end out of Syracuse. Graham Mertz, the quarterback out of Florida. Malachi Moore, the safety out of Alabama. Samuel Brown, wide receiver out of Miami. Hunter Wohler, safety out of Wisconsin. Jaquindon Jackson, running back from Arkansas. John Quavius Marks, running back out of USC. Ty Robinson should not be around this late.
No. I don't know if we could draft 3 defensive
We wouldn't
linemen.
draft 3.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they only keep 6 or 7. But he should not be there.
He should not be there. Josh Gray is still there, the guard from Oregon State.
I like him.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, we did draft a tackle. We're on kind of a comp pick kick. Drafting an offensive lineman results in comp picks somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
It just does, you know?
Yeah.
I thought Gray was pretty impressive. He was my interior sleeper. He's short armed. He's a guard or center. But
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right, Josh Gray it is. And the draft is wrapping up as we speak.
The trade down worked well. Got still a target and cost you a future fourth.
I don't know if you're going to get Travion Henderson at 60, but
I doubt it, but
one of those other guys
yeah,
is going to be there.
I mean, Johnson from Iowa was there.
Yeah.
I think he'll be there. I like Henderson noticeably better.
But we traded down and got Derek Harmon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I took Travion Henderson in the second round, C.J. West in the third at 83.
Yeah, 2 premium assets on D-line. That's right in my alley for that.
Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, the tackle out of Florida, in the fourth round. With our fifth round pick, we took Kyle Williams, the wide receiver out of Washington
kind of value.
State.
One more receiver wouldn't break my heart, you know?
Yeah. In round 6 at 186, we took Kyle McCord.
Cool.
And at 231 in round 7, we took Josh Gray, the guard out of Oregon State. And we also, of course, traded for DK Metcalf.
Yeah, yeah. And we lost our 4th round pick next year.
Yeah.
So be it. Okay. And be fine. I'll take that. It's not my favorite draft we've done, but it
works.
Works quite well.
Yeah.
And it was interesting just knowing, wow, they signed 2 corners, and they've
didn't
DK
really
Metcalf on the team.
Yeah,
and,
didn't really have to look at those positions.
No, right.
Premium spots.
You're rolling around the 4th round. It's like, well, who do you really like? Who do you have a good grade on? Not, man, we haven't taken a corner yet. What are we going to do?
Right.
That type of feel.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
Well, they might add something else between now and the draft, too.
I'm sure
I
will.
bet somebody throws a football, probably.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe 2 of them.
Maybe 2, yeah. But let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airways. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and find out news as it happens. Get our podcast downloaded to your phone, and you can also watch on our YouTube channel.
We're all over the place.
Give us a thumbs up on there. We like that, and leave your comments there.
Spread the word.
Questions. Spread the word. All that good stuff. Let everybody know we're out there. And, it's all happening around the league now. We've seen a flurry of signings.
In the last hour.
Like the first 4 hours of free agency, give or take. Signing agreement. Now you're seeing a bunch of moves now that 4 o'clock is hit when teams are like, okay, here's what we got.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much cap space we have, and you're seeing a bunch of deals getting done here.
It's almost like when you leave round 1 of the draft and everyone goes back to their cubbies overnight and you start thinking about it and you get the first pick and everyone's calling you, but we're going to take Porter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that type of thing, like, okay, go back to the reorganize a little bit and then come out swinging.
Yeah, and we're seeing teams, and again, these aren't massive signings that are taking place now.
No. I mean, but like Kevin Zeitler just got signed by the Titans. He's an NFL guard that's been around the block 1,000 times. He ain't what he used to be, but he's so much better than what they played with last year. Yeah, and Dan Moore. I mean, Dan Moore. Now they have 5 offensive linemen. They had 3 last year. I know this isn't Titans Nation radio or anything like that, but you use first-round picks on 2 offensive linemen year after year. Then you go sign Cushenberry last year in free agency. Now we're up to 3. I mean, their O-line was in that bad a shape. You give Moore maybe more than he's worth, but then Latham gets to go back to right tackle where he belongs. And Zeitler's your 5th starter, and all of a sudden you have a functional offensive line where it was the worst one in the league last year.
Yeah. And
it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap.
Right.
You which is what the Steelers have on their offensive line.
Yeah.
Now, I know people weren't happy at times with the Steelers' offensive line last year.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, if you look at the whole picture, it wasn't bad.
That's one of the things that bothers me. Like, I had a lot of conversations like Darnold. Well, if Darnold comes here, his system won't be as good. He won't get to throw to Justin Jefferson. And those things might be true. Those things are great in Minnesota. The line here is so much worse. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Christian Darrisaw missed like the whole year. He's by far their best tackle. And the interior of their offensive line has been horrible for 5 years. And they just went out and signed a center and guard to prove it. You know, like, it's always the line's fault. Which Wolf was sitting there and be like, no kidding, brother. Like they never get the credit they deserve,
Yeah.
It's not a bad line.
No.
And early in the year, they had 8,000 injuries on the line.
Yeah, 4 different guys made their first career start in the first 6 games of last season. And it didn't start to kind of stumble a little bit until you started, again, playing 3 really good teams in an 11-day stretch, and I think it caught up to him a little bit.
I also think the youth catches up to you. The rookie wall, not only is that a rookie wall, but the wall's coming at you, too. I mean, in that stretch, against really good opponents as well.
I mean, think about what the Eagles did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Right.
That didn't happen against the Steelers.
No.
With the same guys on the field.
Sure, the same Eagles team.
Same Eagles defenders. Like, that defensive line was really good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the train wreck that the Super Bowl was.
No, they held up fine. Right. No, I don't think the O-line, we just drafted 2, but I don't think they will draft 2. I don't think the O-line needs much attention. Tweaks, bring back a Herbig, maybe find some kind of veteran tackle, project tackle, or don't do much, It's just get better as you age.
Yeah, you are allowed to get better, as I always say, and the expectation. I got into a discussion with somebody today on Twitter, on the X Twitter.
That's always frightening.
Because they talked about, the Steelers have been playing Dan Moore out of position the last 2 years, so that's Mike Tomlin's fault.
Dan Moore?
Or not Dan Moore.
Jones.
Broderick
Okay,
Jones.
I was say, Dan Moore can only play one position.
So they were supposed to apparently just plug Broderick Jones in at left tackle and tell Dan Moore,
you're not really capable of playing right, but do it anyways.
The Titans would disagree because they just gave him $20 million a year that he's a left tackle. He's a left tackle.
Right. I don't know what other options they had. I mean,
somebody would have had to have lined up at right tackle. They made the decision that the best thing to do for that team last year and this year was to play Dan Moore at left tackle.
I don't think they planned on the first-round pick getting hurt and being missing the year.
There was that. So this year, the plan going into the training camp was to move Fautanu to right tackle, which every one of the 6 guys who were drafted in the first 20 picks last year, all the offensive tackles, every one of them flipped sides.
Which is so bizarre to me. It doesn't mean it's right for any of them, but it's not uncommon all of a sudden.
It's not necessarily something that never happens. Ask Max Starks.
Right.
Guys flip back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
Now,
if you're Anthony Munoz at left tackle, no one messes with you.
Nobody says a word.
Right.
The plan was for Fautanu to line up at right tackle, which they did the first few weeks of camp, and Broderick Jones there. They were going to compete there, and then have Broderick Jones shift over to left tackle and compete with Dan Moore over there just to see what it looks like. Who's the better tackle? What's the best line we can put out there?
Can you trust the rookie at right tackle?
Yeah.
One thing I think that's hampered the line, and again, we talked about this with Labs, good for Moore to go get all the money he did, and he was a quality left tackle, and the league just reflected that. But I don't think that would have happened to Jones as much if Moore could also flip. You know what I mean? The fact that he had only play one spot.
The same thing happened to him his rookie year.
Right. And he showed he couldn't flip.
Well, he never got a chance.
He never had a chance.
He never got the chance. He was supposed to be the swing tackle. Zach Banner was supposed to be on the right, and Chuks Okorafor was the guy who was supposed to flip over to the left side.
Yeah.
Zach Banner was never healthy that camp, so Dan Moore worked exclusively at left tackle, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna leave you there." Well, then the next year you come back, he's your left tackle.
He's your left tackle, right?
And the year after that, he's your left tackle.
Yep. So maybe it is a little late, but if Jones can be left from now until the day he retires, and Fautanu can be right until now until the day he retires,
fantastic,
great. And now
their athletic profiles fit to that.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that by the end of training camp they haven't decided, hey, we're going to move Fautanu to the left side and Broderick Jones has got to play on the right.
It still could happen.
It could happen.
Jones could be like, I got really used to the right. Who knows?
Yeah.
And both were left tackles in college.
Right. Which is not uncommon. 90% of the right tackles out there in the league right now played left tackle in college.
Right.
Because they were the best dude on their team.
The right tackles in college go to guard.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Right.
Like guys move on the offensive line all the time.
Yep. And all the first-round picks last year.
Mason McCormick just got a $819,000 check this week from the NFL based on his performance-based pay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's another weird thing that
I
don't fully understand, but okay.
And there's play time. There's you know all that kind of stuff is involved in that.
Be a nice thing to show up at your house when you
Absolutely.
get the mailbox. Right, yeah.
Christmas and
Right.
Anyway, so, but the idea that somehow Pat Meyer did a bad job last year.
There weren't a million options.
There weren't. Like
Right,
you were
right.
for a while there. You were piecing it together. You were
If Moore can only play left and the first round pick's hurt, and then Herbig gets hurt, how do I put my best 5 out there?
Yeah.
Sorry, Broderick.
But-
what are you gonna do?
People
Doesn't mean Dylan Cook should be your right tackle.
No.
Right.
Like that was the thing that I said to the guy. He said, "Well, Broderick Jones should have been playing left tackle from the beginning." I said, "Okay, then who's your right tackle?"
Yeah, right.
Because you don't have one.
You gotta put your best 5 athletes out there.
They
too,
said
right.
they said 2 years ago. Mike Tomlin said, "No, Dan Moore. We tried him, and they did.
They did.
He moved over to right tackle some
Didn't really work.
last 2 years ago in training camp, and they said, "Oh no, he's much better on the left side."
Right. I mean, I think it was to the O-line experts. Nah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
He's a left tackle only.
Yeah.
and that hurt him a little, but didn't hurt him, but it hurt others in
Right.
a ripple kind of
but
way.
the idea is to go out and line up, put your best 5 on the field wherever they are. When they started the 2023 season, 2023 season, Broderick Jones wasn't one of their best 5.
Right.
They then decided midway through the season, we got to get this guy on the field somewhere, and we're replacing Chooks.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, this is an extreme example and dates my NBA knowledge, but it's not like we got David Robinson and Duncan, and they're both centers. Well,
somebody's playing power forward.
Right. You're both going to be out there, guys.
Yeah.
Even if we have a power forward who's okay,
That might mean you have to play a
David
little
and
farther
Tim are
out
gonna
away
be
from the
out there,
basket,
right.
but it is what it is.
we're not going to ask them to play point, but
Right.
Right, exactly. You got to get your guys out there.
So you adjust, and the idea that somehow the coaching staff failed Broderick Jones.
No one says it's going to be easy.
Nobody's. It's professional football,
Right.
and you're talking about a guy. Well, he played left tackle exclusively in college. Yeah, for like 19 games.
Only 19 games. Right?
It's not like he's. I'm sure every one of those guys was the left tackle on their high school team.
And come week 10 in 2025 season, there's going to be someone on this football team doing something that they're not the best at. Like, hey, we need you to play slot corner. We don't have any. We need you to play third down linebacker, even though you're a thumper. We don't got any. Like that.
But
attrition sets in.
To kill Pat Meyer because Broderick Jones has not achieved to the level that you think he should achieve to, while overlooking Zach Frazier being your starting center, also McCormick, 4 guys playing their first snaps. Fautano was ready to play.
Looked pretty impressive.
And was arguably their best offensive lineman in camp last year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Broderick Jones problem. Maybe it's not the Pat Meyer problem. Maybe it was Broderick Jones.
Yeah,
and
maybe
he's
it's
got to be
not.
more serious about this.
No question. And his story's far from written.
Oh,
too.
it's not. No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not
I know it's
trashing
not what you're
Broderick
saying,
Jones
right.
at all. I think he's got a world of talent. He just needs to put it all together. But
Like, if you
that's
could-
on him.
Like if you could pick any Steeler to be your most improved Steeler this year, if it's him,
Great,
look out.
fantastic.
Like all of a sudden, then you have like a top 10 line.
Yeah,
And he could.
he could.
He could.
He certainly
He could.
has the talent to do that.
Yeah.
And it's again the idea that they failed him and because he hasn't developed. He was a developmental pick when they took him.
I also think he has developed. Like he's had some bad moments. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I mean,
You play enough snaps in the NFL, you're going to have some bad moments.
but his best football was post-bye last year, even in the bad stretch run.
Yeah.
So it's the most recent stuff.
What happens on the
I don't want to hear
offensive
the
line?
Rousseau beat him in the preseason twice. Like I still hear that all the time.
The
Like,
Oregon offensive tackle this year.
left tackle Connerly.
Yeah, Connerly.
Yeah.
Had 1 rep at the Senior Bowl
Mm-hmm.
where Mike Green ran him over.
Destroyed him. Right.
Ran right
That's all
through him.
anybody remembers.
He was the MVP, the offensive line MVP for his squad at the Senior Bowl.
Mhm,
But
including
he had
the
that,
practice. And
all
that, right.
anybody has seen is that 1 bad rep that he had
Yep.
where he got off balance a little bit and got put on his back.
And no one would argue that if I put Broderick Jones's 15 low light snaps together, it's not pretty.
No.
It's not, and nobody would think it is. But that story's not written yet either.
Not even
there's
close.
A lot of ability there.
Not even close.
The brutal thing, and it's just in this league, is soon you got to think about the 5th-year option already.
Right.
It seems like a guy just got here, and by a lot of stretch, he's still very raw. But at this time next year, you're going to have to go.
You're going to know.
You're going to know.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't get hurt or you don't get an incomplete grade. But you're going to have to pick up a 5th-year option or not a year from now.
Yeah. And it's going to be.
It's a brutal league.
It's going to be pricey, but
you'll
know.
Yeah, you'll know.
I
don't know if they will or not. I mean,
they should. Well,
no, I don't know if they'll pick it up or not.
They'll know one way or the other whether he can play or not.
Yeah,
and whether it's if he doesn't play because of injury,
then you don't
or something like that, or he falls flat on his face at left tackle. So be it.
So be it. Right.
But you're gonna put your best 5 out there, but B, it's on the player to improve, and he's still he's younger than Mason McCormick.
Yeah. Oh, right. But to your original point, it's hard to blame Pat Meyer, the offense coordinator, the head coach, the organization.
When he's had success with other guys have had success.
Yeah.
Other guys have improved.
I mean, my point is the way you laid it out, like, well, who'd you want to play at right tackle?
Well, there's that. Yeah.
I mean, like, we got to put 5 guys that have to block the Ravens this week. He's one of our 5.
Yeah.
Maybe
they
he's
decided
right.
Chooks couldn't be that guy anymore.
No, who just signed somewhere a minute ago, too.
The Jets.
Jets, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably as a swing guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's
they've come a long way from I almost chuckled when he said it. Well, they had Chooks and Banner as their starters.
Right. Right.
They've come a long way since
with
those
Kendrick
days.
Green. That whole line is gone.
It is gone.
It's
it
all
needed
gone.
To be.
That was in 2021.
It wasn't long.
They've
right.
swept that
now
entire
the Moore's
line
gone.
out.
They're all
gone.
They're all
That's
gone.
it.
Right.
They're done.
Yep. And not exactly going crazy in the rest of the league. I wish Moore all the luck in the world. I think
his argument. Well, they played Kevin Dotson in the wrong spot as well. I'm saying, okay, the same Kevin Dotson who blew the game for the Rams. I mean, Kevin Dotson has been fine in L.A. I'm not saying anything bad about Kevin.
No, he's been a success story since he left. Yeah,
but when it came down to it, Rams are driving.
And I also don't want to hear that you played him at left guard instead of right guard. I mean, it's not exactly the same thing.
This is not rocket science.
Right.
I mean, come on.
I mean, I know guards prefer a side to the other, but it's not the same as tackles. And even so, he was hard to count on here.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wasn't reliable.
I think the trade actually, him getting moved,
probably did him a world of good.
Probably lit a fire under him a little bit. I think it lit a fire. What happened with Kendrick Green? I think lit a fire under Kendrick Green. Mm-hmm. Because
but they're not missing Kendrick Green.
Those guys came in here and were immediate starters, and were immediately the best 5 guys on the because the Steelers had nothing at that point.
Right, I understand. But they wouldn't be now.
And
if you drafted those guys in this class, they'd be sitting waiting. And
I think those guys needed the kick in the pants that they got by getting. Oh, this team's done with me. What's that mean? Wait a second, I was a starter.
NFL's easy. I'm a 3rd or 4th round pick, and I get to be a starter right away.
Sometimes that happens.
Right.
This is easy for me. I walked right in here. I'm a starter.
And that might be where Jones is at in his career, where I might not have to work. Time for me to look in the mirror if I'm going to be the player I can be. This is a crucial offseason for
Absolutely.
me. Start kick sliding from the left and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so, sometimes it does need to be that change of scenery. And same thing. I hope things work out for Najee Harris with the Chargers.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's
I think it's a good fit.
It's a good fit for him. Doesn't mean he was, again, I saw the thing today. The Steelers haven't picked up the 5th-year option on their last 5, first-round draft picks or whatever it is, and Najee Harris only got a 1-year deal, so that means nobody wanted them in the league. No, you got to look around at the rest of the league too.
That doesn't mean it was bad here.
There's not a single running back yet in this free agent period who has gotten a multi-year deal. And he got the most money of any of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Aaron Jones going back, but he was the other.
He's re-signed with his own team.
Re-signed with his own team,
yeah.
And right. I think it's a
but it was like
deal
2
too.
years, $15 million or something.
Yeah, he may not even see the second.
Those guys aren't getting big money deals this particular year.
Offseason, right?
Because
and frankly, I bet the Chargers draft one.
Yeah, the draft is littered with these guys.
Yeah.
That
they might just
have less wear and tear on them. Yeah,
right.
So yeah, you're not. But he got a good deal.
And it's nothing like I thought he was going to get. Like I thought he'd get like not 6 months ago. I thought he'd get like the Ramondre Stevenson 2-year, $20 million type deal.
He got up to 9.25.
It's incentive stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he did get a good deal, right?
But
on a buyer's market for running backs.
I think if you ask the Patriots now,
no, it doesn't look like a great deal for them.
Hey, do you regret that deal?
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely say yes.
Yeah.
Which they've done nothing with their offense. Not a damn thing.
No, Morgan Moses. That's about it. I'm sure it'll be a massive offensive draft, but Vrabel's a defensive guy. But, man, you got to do a little more for your quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you add Amari Cooper or Diggs or somebody that's been on the block.
I guess.
I mean, but, man, it's a little light.
But it's just, the perception versus the reality of some of these moves and why this is that and that is this, and they're playing that guy at a position. Like,
that's something that you do
nobody
really
ever
well.
said a word about the Steelers playing Chad Brown out of position when they moved him, an outside linebacker, to inside linebacker so they could get him on the field.
Yeah, they get him on the field because he was too good to sit behind the studs ahead of him. Right.
When they put Herbig out on the field in their 3 outside linebacker package and have him playing kind of off the ball, nobody says a word about that. They're not doing they're doing him
now
a disservice.
Now they're smart to get their best 11 out there, right?
But when they do it like that, exactly, they're smart to get their best 5 or best 11 out there. But when they move an offensive lineman, suddenly, oh my God, this has never been done before.
See, I hope that's why people listen to the show or watch the show or whatever too, because you're really good at remembering and laying it out. This is what they were thinking at the time. Zach Banner was their right tackle. Wasn't the ideal situation, but that's where they were then. And this is why this guy got thrust into this situation. It's not just, I don't know what he is, a left tackle or a right tackle.
And people say Kendrick Green got handed the starting job that year. Everybody
else got hurt.
Every other center on the roster got hurt.
Right.
Everybody else that they had.
Yep.
And he ended up taking all the snaps at training camp because everybody else was hurt.
Yeah.
They had other plans. They wanted B.J. Finney to win the job.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to start with Kendrick Green at center.
He's a third-round rookie. I mean, that's a hard thing to ask.
And if you remember at the time, B.J. Finney was
he's fine.
Was a good offensive lineman.
He was one of the 32 best centers in the world.
He developed a back issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah. So, I mean, I urge people like to listen to our shows in camp because, well, they got to move this guy to right tackle just to get through practice today. You know, like some guys get hurt or they've taken the day off or whatever.
Spencer Anderson. We raved about Spencer Anderson a couple years ago at training camp because he played all 5 positions on the line.
Do everything, right. And he was okay at all.
And would do it from play to play, like not practice to practice.
Not even series to series.
It was always like, where's Waldo at on this play?
Yeah, here comes a tackle off the sideline, but Anderson didn't go out. He just moved to guard or whatever, you know.
Not fair to him.
No, it's probably the only reason he's still in the league. Right. You know, that keeps you in the league doing that kind of stuff.
You can move positions.
Absolutely.
You know, it just...
You got to field 11 every snap.
Every snap, and you want it to be your best 11.
And you only got 53 on the team.
Yeah.
And corners can't play center.
Last time I checked, that's probably the case.
Yeah, it's much more of a puzzle than people realize.
Yeah.
Like I urge people to listen to yesterday's show, the Malik Harrison conversation. Okay, that's fine if you like Roberts better than Harrison. You're fine to think that way, and you're not wrong. But Harrison kills 2 birds.
Right.
You know,
he can play on the outside. He could also play inside off the ball.
And then you don't have to re-sign Spillane or Matakevich. I mean, the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Harrison kills 2 birds at the inside linebacker
And he's
position.
a good special teams player.
That's the thing, right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Eccles is a really good special teams player, too, the more I've been digging in with him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that matters.
It definitely matters. That's
Especially
a lot of snaps
when you're talking about
year.
depth pieces.
That's 200 to 300 snaps a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you don't play good special teams, 2009 happens all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to see that.
No. Right.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I just want to go through some names here for you.
Okay.
Cliff Stout.
Uh-oh.
Mark Malone.
Yeah.
David Woodley. Scott Campbell. Bubby Brister. Steve Bono. Todd Blackledge. Neil O'Donnell. Mike Tomczak. Jim Miller. Cordell Stewart. Kent Graham. Tommy Maddox.
We're going well over a decade's worth here.
Those are the quarterbacks who started games for the Steelers. That doesn't even count Cliff Stout in 1983 because Bradshaw started a game that year before he got
He started
hurt.
one
One game.
in his final season. So that's Bradshaw to Ben.
That's Bradshaw to Ben.
Hopefully that's not Ben to
Right.
next guy.
So when people talk, the Steelers, they seem like they're really desperate right now to a quarterback. No, that's desperation.
Yeah. That's just, whew. How many years was Neil good? 2? I'm like, he was the best of the group.
Define good.
I didn't do this for a living then.
95 was really the only year that they had an actual passing game in that stretch.
Yeah. I remember them going 4 wide, and I think he went to a Pro Bowl that year.
Yeah. They
set
team passing records. And
Jets gave him a ton of money,
which was a mistake.
Which was a huge mistake. Yeah. Cordell's the other one that maybe could have been something, or he was born too early.
If it was today's game, he'd be great.
Yeah.
Because you'd know what to do with him, but they didn't know what to do with him at that time.
But I'd say no one else on that list was an above-average starter.
Yeah. These were guys, Tom Zach.
A lot of retreads.
Blackledge.
Graham.
Campbell. Woodley. Graham. These are guys who are all retreads from other teams.
Other teams that were
the
starters.
Only ones they drafted Cliff Stout.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Mark Malone.
With Bradshaw's demise.
Yeah. They drafted Bubby Brister.
Malone was the first.
They drafted O'Donnell. They drafted Stewart. They drafted Jim Miller. They tried.
Mm-hmm.
None of those guys were first-round
they
draft
weren't
picks.
first-round picks, but right.
Well, actually, Malone was.
Malone was, right.
Yeah. But they tried first-round draft picks there. It just didn't work out, which is...
A.J. Dillon signed with the Eagles. I didn't think he'd ever play football again. Wow. Okay.
But that's the reality of the situation. The Steelers are now the Browns because they're desperate at quarterback. Every team that doesn't have a franchise-type quarterback is desperate at quarterback.
Yeah, right. I mean, you just got to...
You got to go with what you got.
Look under every stone. And I do think there's value in, and we've talked about this a lot, and I think you agree, when in doubt, draft one that year. You might find a Dak Prescott. You might find, even if it's a Mason Rudolph.
That's what they were hoping, like Bubby Brister. They thought, maybe that guy, or Neil O'Donnell
he had
was
a lot
that
of
guy.
tools. I remember Bubby being big, strong, and, he had a lot of tools, and he started. It wasn't like it was a wasted pick, but he didn't hit, I don't. That era is hard for me to comment on. I was just purely a fan at that point, and probably didn't realize how bad things were year after year, and I didn't also have as good a grasp of the league. And it doesn't seem like there was as many top-flight quarterbacks then as now.
Well, they didn't move around. There was no free agency back then.
Right. I mean, Dan Fouts was a Charger.
You didn't have free agency until 93, so you were trading for these guys where they had been released by somebody else.
Or Scott Mitchell had 2 good games as Marino's backup, so the Lions go give him huge money. It's the only way you could get a hold of these guys.
Yeah.
Or draft them, and a lot of those guys didn't draft and develop particularly well either at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just where you're at.
I'll take Russell Wilson over those names.
And compare,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll take Fields over those names for the most part.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you're at until you're able to find the next one.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in the top 10 to get the next one.
No, but you don't stop trying.
You don't stop trying. You keep drafting these guys. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was the 24th pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson was a third-round draft pick. Mm-hmm. Mahomes was the 11th pick in his draft.
Yeah, Lamar was 31 or whatever.
Yeah.
Too. Right.
You just have to find the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
just because you're one of these
difficult.
teams, there are 20 teams out there searching for that guy.
Even worse is though, you're the Bears, and you use early picks time and time, or the Browns.
Over and over again.
Right, over and over. And
that's where I don't get the comparison to Cleveland. Cleveland has spent
so many first-round picks.
First-round picks after first-round pick after first-round pick on the quarterback position.
Including Watson, who was trading a bunch of
Now,
first-round
if you want to
picks,
compare what the Steelers are doing right now to the Indianapolis Colts, I'll listen. You're bringing in retread until you get the opportunity.
I'd say there's no Richardson parallel
to go get your guy.
I see what you're talking about.
Which they did it for several years and then took their swing to go get Richardson,
which they're not happy with.
They took the wrong swing.
Right. I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a lot of options. I mean,
No.
like, Luck. I mean, I can't stress how bad that would be as a GM for Luck to quit on you. It's like this time of year.
It's really bad luck.
It's really bad luck. But maybe you should treat him better, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes luck is earned. And then you're in the Matt Ryan, Rivers, Wentz, and trading for Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave up stuff for Wentz. Those other guys.
Yeah, you
just picked
gave up a first-round pick to go get Wentz.
Yeah, I think it was 2 2s or a first or something
Yeah,
like that.
like,
It was like a big deal.
That's bad business.
That's bad business, right? And the Eagles are like, we'll go with Hurts. You took him off our hands, too.
Right?
And, that's nice.
The Steelers haven't done that, but I don't want to say they're treading water because they're trying to win,
Of course,
which is what you should be trying to do with the rest of your roster the way it is.
but you're also sort of surviving,
right, because you don't have that guy.
Right. So you got to do things a little different. And I know people are hard on Tomlin. He's so conservative. He handcuffs these guys. Yeah, but it ends up with the W at the end of the Sunday.
He didn't handcuff Ben.
No, right.
You know?
I mean, and again, boy, they run the ball so much. I don't know if they would if they had Marino throw into, Moss and Larry Fitzgerald. They probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
It depends what guys you got.
yeah, right. So it's you
If you
play
got Pickens and Metcalf on the outside, you might push the ball down the field more.
When I tweeted out the thing the other day about the Steelers players being attractive in free agency thus far, and we've seen Van Jefferson sign today. We've seen who else signed it? Somebody else signed today. Anyways, they've had a bunch of their guys sign. Ogunjobi signed.
Ogunjobi signed, right.
with the Bills. Well, it must be what could possibly be holding these guys back? Must be the coaching, huh? No, they don't have a quarterback.
No, quarterback.
It's
right.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah. It's such a quarterback-driven league, and people forget that. And
I mean, look at the number of playoff games won by guys in this franchise history, not named Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, I bet that's a very low number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
O'Donnell had 1 year where he got them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Other than that, it's a lot
That
of
was a pretty
one.
loaded roster, too.
Yeah, with
right.
one win, no wins. This is the way the league is.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, how many? Rarely do you see the Brad Johnson guy anymore. That defense and he just managed the Dilfers. I don't know if you'll ever see those anymore.
It's awfully difficult.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying Hurts is to the Mahomes level, but he's got a lot of playmaking ability compared to Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
And Trent Dilfer. You know what I mean?
He's also got a much better team around.
I mean, those guys had the team.
They had the team.
Right.
Which is what the Steelers are trying to build. They're trying to build the team because you don't have the quarterback.
Right. But can they get better quarterback play than they got last year?
That's what they're trying to figure out.
What they're trying to figure out here in the next till we meet again.
Till we meet again. Right. Hopefully by tomorrow we got some
might
kind
know
of
that
idea
by 6
here
when the drive hung it up, but who knows?
Yeah. But anyways, let's get that's going to do it for today's show. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site running the Justin Miller hotline and getting us Bob Labriola on the Justin Miller hotline, and for Tyler Vittmeyer making sure the video gets out there onto YouTube, I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.